Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Crane Atlanta Mentorship. In this video, we're going to do a review of velocity banking, but it's going to be a little different from the other videos that we've done because we're going to actually review a forum post on Reddit of someone's real life case study, right? We could call this a real life case study because what's funny about society is that, when you're with friends and family, you ask them, like, hey, how are you? You ever notice, like, almost 99 to 100% of the time, they'll say, I'm fine, I'm doing well, and they'll never say, I'm struggling, right? But the beauty of the internet is that people will be more honest and tell you their struggles and failures with you. And so, what we're going to do is review a Reddit post on personal finance, our personal finance, and we're going to see how velocity banking is not just having a HELOC. See, a lot of people have HELOCs and they struggle, right? Velocity banking is having your HELOC as your main operating account. Two totally different concepts, right? Two totally different things. Having a HELOC versus having a HELOC as your main operating account. And so what we're going to do is we're going to review this Reddit post and see how what the mistakes would be, possible mistakes, how we can correct them, and how having a HELOC is not like some sort of panacea. Because I get a lot of emails like, "How do I get a HELOC? How do I get a HELOC?" And I'm like, "Dude, who cares about the HELOC? Learn the strategy, right? If you can do it with a credit card or a personal line of credit, you don't need a HELOC, right?" But let's go ahead and read this Reddit post. So, should I pay down the HELOC? I opened a HELOC initially with a 1.99% interest rate. And actually, before I actually read the post, let's go ahead and I just want to make sure that you know that I'm actually going to write down all the negatives or the mistakes on this Word document. But let's go ahead and read it. I opened a HELOC initially with 1.99% interest rate. That's a good introductory rate. And immediately maxed it out at 150K to invest in other real estate. Ooh, so number one is maxed out HELOC. Okay. Now, again, just because you take out funds for a HELOC doesn't mean it's a bad idea if you're going to invest in real estate, especially if it's a good deal, but you have to make the numbers work. So let's keep reading. Now, as everyone here is aware, rates are insane. I'm paying about $1,200 a month in interest only payments. So what's number two? Interest only payments, right? And this is what I talked about in another video about how society conditions you to make only the minimum payments and then have the rest in savings, right? All right. So after the introductory rate ended, my rate is currently sitting at 9.5%. It was a poor choice, and now I'm trying to dig myself out of it. I have $30,000 in emergency savings around 4.5% and another $30,000 in a Vanguard index fund. So folks, this is what I always ran about, that even if you have $30,000 in savings at 4.5%, but you got a line of credit at 9.5, who's the one who's losing, right? So that's another thing. Number three, right? Which is savings is not zero, right? That's a mistake. See how different that is from the average American thinking? I've told you all in many of your videos, I know some of you are hardcore now, hard hardcore followers of the velocity banking. I don't know, is it a religion, is it a cult, or is it just a philosophy? I like to think it was a philosophy. But let's go to the extreme, say it's even a cult, right? But the one of the hardcore tenets of this strategy is that we don't have savings. If we have even a savings account, unless we have a savings account that's like 20% and we have a 9.5% debt, yeah, that's cool, right? But what we're not gonna do is just have $30,000 in savings when we could have just dumped that money into the line of credit or the HELOC and then taking it out whenever we needed it, right? And another 30K in a Vanguard index fund. Now, I have no idea about index funds, right? So I'm not going to comment on whether that's good or not. I don't know what the rate of return of that Vanguard index fund is, but for sure, the savings, oh my goodness, it's giving me a heart attack. Okay. Should I use all of that to start paying down my HELOC? What do you know, audience, you all know me, right? So I'm going to dump the 30K into the 150K HELOC and it's going to be 120K. Okay. So let's just go here. That at least gets the ball rolling, but I'm not sure if I'd be better off touching off those funds. Selling the other real estate is not currently an option. So, edit, I tried to sell this summer but couldn't get an offer. Most likely listed too high for our market. So I sold. So if I sold, I would still have debt left in my HELOC. Number edit. I just wanted to add the financial info for the rental property. It brings in about $2,655 a month, down from 3,200 last year. The mortgage is 2,750, so the HELOC is operating at a loss of negative 1295 a month. The original plan was to pay off the HELOC as quick as possible to take advantage of low rates. Obviously, that didn't happen, right? So, ouch, this negative cash flow. And the crazy thing is, he was able to get, or he or she was able to get $3,200 in rent last year. And people always think, oh, real estate's going to go up and up and up and up and always forever. But that just is not true, right? So this is a very recent post from 5 months ago. And if you basically have a house that brings in maybe $3,000 to $2,500 a month rent, that's probably maybe a $400,000 or $500,000 house. I mean, that's, I don't know what part of the country this person's in, but just from personal experience and knowing the market, this is you don't, you want houses that, so this is what you want to do in general. You want to buy a $300,000 house discounted for $200,000, right? And then you make immediate wealth by getting equity like out of thin air. That's like the formula to success. See what this person did, and again, I'm just conjecturing, is this person just bought any old property at full market value. Like just looking at these numbers, I could tell that there's really no discount here, right? That's why we're operating a loss at 1295, negative 1295. But also take a look at this. If you're bringing 2655 a month and your mortgage is 2750, even without the HELOC, you're still negative cash flow, right? Oh my goodness, this is insane. So just from a real estate perspective, actually, let's do this. Mistake number 4, HELOC is not main operating account. That's mistake number 4, right? Maxed out HELOC usually only happens when your HELOC is not your main operating account. Number 2 is your interest only payments, but that also is related to HELOC not being your main operating account. And your savings is not zero, which is also related to HELOC is not your main operating account. So folks, this is why I say that your HELOC, having a HELOC is not velocity banking, right? Having a HELOC is not velocity banking. Having your HELOC as your main operating account is velocity banking. Okay? So let's just go in here. And then number 5, not buying a rental property that cash flows and at a discount, right? Really important that we buy rental properties at a discount because number 1, it's in case our rents do go down, right? It's a hedge against that. And number 2, when we buy rental property at a discount, we're creating wealth out of thin air. And the best way to buy property at a discount is find a distressed seller that you're committed to helping, right? So now this is crazy, right? So if you spent $150,000, and let's just assume that's a 20% down payment, okay? So let's just go to Google Calculator. So what is 150,000 divided by 0.2? Did this person really buy a $750,000 home? I find that hard to believe, but that explains all the negative cash flow numbers and the high mortgage, I'm sorry, the high monthly rental that fluctuates, right? Because if you have a really expensive home, yes, the rent is more expensive, but there's not just as much demand. Like the demand isn't there compared to your regular 3 bed, 2 bath, Joe Schmo, 200, $300,000 home. But all right, so let's go back here. Maxed out HELOC, interest only payments, savings is not zero. HELOC is not main operating account, and not buying a rental property that cash flows and at a discount. Oh my goodness. You see how much we can learn just from this one Reddit post? And it's amazing. I bet if this person talked to like his friends, relatives, or whoever, he'd be like, "Oh, yeah, everything's fine." And then, he would post on Reddit, "I'm kind of screwed." But then now here's the thing. Now we're actually going to do the review of velocity banking. And if you don't know what velocity banking is, all it is using lines of credit as your main tool, your main operating account to pay off debt. That's all it is. If you don't know what a line of credit is, it's a HELOC, right? A HELOC is a type of line of credit, home equity line of credit. Basically like a credit card based on the value of your home, right? Now, in order to velocity banking, we have two things. We need a budget, which we have, and number two is we need a line of credit as our main operating account. So as you can see here, this person has a HELOC. This is the thing I want to demonstrate and highlight, right? So notice we have this payment here, okay? Now when we do velocity banking, we're going to assume two things. Number one, same income. And number two, zero savings. We're doing the exact opposite of this guy. I mean, he must make great money because if he's negative cash flow and he has 30,000 savings and 30,000 index fund, he must be doing okay in income wise, right? But let's take a look here. We're going to do the exact opposite. So if we had 30 grand in savings, we would just use it to pay off the debt, and that's what we're going to do here. And then use the full power of our paycheck to pay off our debt. Okay? And then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the magic of what happens when your HELOC is your main operating account. So the actual velocity banking strategy is, even though you have zero savings, you're going to have this something called cash flow. We're going to dump your entire paycheck into the line of credit and then take your expenses out. Now you might be thinking, these are the same two numbers. What are you talking about? Are you high? But here's the cool thing, right? HELOC. Let's say we have a $25,000 HELOC and $20,000 balance. Okay, like I said, it's like a credit card based on the value of your home. What happens to this payment? And I'm sorry, did my voice crack there? But what happens to this payment when you put your entire paycheck into that HELOC? Does this payment matter? Oh, no, it does not. It goes to zero. And that's how we immediately create cash flow. See, this is the beauty of velocity banking, is that not only are you able to put your full power of your savings, because you should have zero savings. Again, I'm not giving you financial advice, but I'm just saying from a general perspective, when we talk about velocity banking, zero savings, and then once you make your HELOC as your main operating account, your payment doesn't matter, so you immediately create increased cash flow. And then you put paycheck into line of credit, expenses out, and then after every month, $1,000, the balance goes down, including the interest. And I'll just do a quick demonstration for you, right? Let's go ahead and do that. So to get the next month's balance, it's the previous month's balance plus the previous month's interest minus our cash flow, 1135.9. Okay. Now, if you ever want to get the interest, okay, let's go ahead and get that. Average daily balance, get the average of two numbers, multiply by 10%, which is the interest rate, and divide by 12. Okay? And then our goal is to maximize this cash flow number. So I don't know what the other guy is doing on Reddit, but he's certainly not focused on maximizing the cash flow number, because all he's doing is making those minimum interest only payments, right? Negative 1295 a month, which is insane, like mind-blowingly insane. But let's go back here. So now our goal is just to move as much of these credit cards into the line of credit, because once we do that, we immediately increase this cash flow number. Okay. Do I have like $7,000 I can add to the line of credit? Let's just add $7,000 here. Okay. Well, all right. My bad. Hold on. So let's just do this. Let's pay 2 months that way, and then I'm going to move this $7,000 into that home equity line of credit. So let's go ahead and do that plus 7,000. And what happens just by doing a simple debt transfer from that credit card to the line of credit? Yes, it is a lower interest home equity line of credit, but the most important thing that we care about is that cash flow. And oh my goodness, that cash flow changed from 1,100 to 1,300. Okay, so now we rinse and repeat, right? And so now we're going to go ahead and do this. So now it's minus 1375.07. Okay. And then we do the same thing over and over again, right? So this is 23 grand. Again, in real life, I do it a little bit differently. Like the balance of the home equity line of credit would probably be almost 25 after every single month because I'm transferring as much credit card debt to there. But it's okay. But let's just kind of do it the slower paced way. So let's assume that we're going to move this 10K, and at this time, the credit card balances go minimally down, right? But let's see. I'll move 10K here. So 10K, it's not going to be 10K, probably 9K. But let's move 10K here. So plus is 10000, right? And then again, just as long as this is below this $25,000 limit, then guess what? Oh my goodness, this went to 1,700. You see how that works? You see how easy that is? And then we just replace this cash flow with 1,707. Okay? And then rinse and repeat. Now, again, this is a um, very simplified explanation of strategy, but as you can see, the main benefit of having no savings and making our home equity line of credit is to maximize this cash flow number, right? To easily pay off debt. That's the whole point of it. But if you take a look at this Reddit post, when I see this $30,000 in savings, like I'm trying to do like an ambulance noise, but doo 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 doo, red flag, right? Now I can do it. It's a little bit late for me, but 30,000 in savings. Oh my goodness! What's the first rule of Fight Club? No savings. Sorry. But yeah, so basically, this is a real life case study, I guess. I don't know all the numbers, but I could just already tell a list of things in my mind what we did wrong, right? Interest only payments, please. All right, well, have a great day, everybody, and we will speak next time. Just create a line to mentorship.